The WIAA Football Championships, this matchup pitting the Riverview Panthers against the Royal Knights. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Pickett along with Don Bushell. We welcome you to Kennewick. Believe it or not, there are signs of blue sky about us. It looks like a great day for football, dry field, and a showdown, Don, for the second time this season between these two teams. And if you're a Riverview Panther fan, you're going to hope it's a lot closer than the first go-round.
Yeah, back I think it was the third week. It was a 39-7 loss, Panthers to the Knights. So the Panthers 11-1 overall. The only loss to the Royals, as you mentioned. And it was sunny earlier. And coming from the west side of the Cascades,
we weren't sure what it was, right?
I'm growing gills or whatever the jokes are. So
Royal at 13-0. They were in their first semifinals since 2008. They have been one of the powerhouses at this 2A classification, looking to reach their seventh championship game. Riverview at 11-1, as Don mentioned, in the semifinals for the first time ever. The Panthers won the toss. They have elected to receive, and we're about ready to get this one underway. Miguel Ayala will kick off for Royal. And back deep for Riverview are Alonzo Mendoza and Cody Bartlett. The short pooch kick, nicely fielded at the 28, taking it out of bounds is Taryn Brown. And Riverview will go to work there.
Yeah, you know, an attempt to get some up players' hands on it, maybe get some muff kicks going, but handled well by Taryn Brown. Panthers with decent field position to start, 30-yard line. You'll always take that for your opening possession.
Winner of this one will face the winner of Mount Baker and Montesano. They are going on right now at the Tacoma Dome, and we just received an update there that Montesano leads at 21-0 at halftime. We will get you updated on that one by day's end. First down carry for Cody Bartlett. And he'll pick up a couple before being brought down by the middle of this Royal Knight defensive line.
Yeah, the Knights, they didn't hold their blockers and stand their ground. Instead, they penetrated into the backfield, which could lead to bigger gains up the middle. So a gain of 3, not that large, but going one up against one defensive man there.
Panthers with twins both ways. They'll bring motion through the backfield now from Josh Marshall. And a keeper this time. Good open hold as Marshall pinned down the outside. The Knights able to close quickly on Ravim Tatunik as Brady Dixon came down the line in a hurry.
A short gain, but the Panthers probably feel pretty good about their ability to get to the line of scrimmage and make something happen. That time a lot of lateral action, but not much to show for it.
Tatunik, just a sophomore, 6 foot even, 200-pounder, and faced with a third and long here, pressured, gets away and has room to the outside. Open man on a lob, up for grabs, and a juggle for it still.
It's picked off.
And it is an interception, waiting to see after a couple of deflections.
Alex Myrick came up with it, number 11 of the Knights.
And he will be calling signals for the Knights after he came over on that pick. Don Tatunik had a receiver open, but he really floated that one up and into the breeze. It stayed up.
Well, there was a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and he did a nice job escaping that pressure, but you know, that'll rattle your thinking a little bit. And he had plenty of time to throw the ball, but, you know, threw it into a crowd.
This Royal team has really not had anybody come close to it all season long. We'll roll down some of their scores as we go along. An experienced squad. They open with an empty backfield for Myrick, who's coming off a 4-touchdown passing, 4-touchdown rushing performance last week. Blitz, he finds it in a hurry. Good toss to Brady Dixon. Dixon threw a couple tacklers, breaks one more, could go the distance on their first play from scrimmage and will. Touchdown Royal. Don, great poise by Myrick there to feel the pressure and find the hot receiver.
That was a great play call. I'm not sure if that was luck or studying your opponent, but throwing to the flat when you have defenders in your face, you've just eliminated probably the majority of the best tacklers on your defense by getting it out there to the flat. And then you're running against defensive backs, and the tackling wasn't the best tackling. Arm tackling can be broken, and we saw what happened, 51 yards.
Knights lining up in that offset. Now they'll come back and get in the traditional kick alignment. Christian Guerrero is the kicker, Myrick the holder. And with the wind at his back and a mild one, he drills it through. So 3 plays and a turnover, 1 play and you're in the end zone. And a minute and a half in, it's 7-0 in favor of Royal, and that's exactly the type of start that they would want to get.
Yeah, and, there's psychology, right? The Panthers were defeated 39-7, which was a fairly close game as by Royal standards.
In fact, the closest game they've had all year. Yeah, 32 points.
So, I mean, when you give up an interception in the first play from scrimmage as a touchdown, the Panthers are thinking, uh-oh, here it comes again. And the coaching staff of the Panthers, I mean, high school is all about coaching, so now they've got to be keeping their kids' heads in the game. No, let's keep to our game plan, forget what just happened. And the Royals are like, hey, we need to put the pedal to the metal. We got these guys thinking and backpedaling. Now it's time. They'll try another squib kick or something, try to get them to make a mistake, another mistake. Their initial kickoff was a little short
floater,
guy, and that's what they were trying to do. So let's see if they try that again.
Interesting, they've got 1 man wide from the rest of the unit down at the bottom of the field. The other 9 guys, actually 2 wide now, and the other 8 guys lined up behind the kicker. And now they'll spread it out, and again look to poach short. Ball fumbled away. Could be a second turnover right here. Royals signaling they have it. No indication yet from the officials.
That was Taryn Brown.
It is Riverview's ball. Brown was able to fall on top of it. He's the guy who caught the first one and took it out of bounds. And I think we see why.
And, I mean, he's probably thinking, okay, do I hear footsteps? Well, those guys are a long ways away. And I'd hit him right in the breadbasket. And, hey, it's easy to say from the armchair that was an easy ball to catch. But if not many of us have really stood out there and caught footballs that are going end over end at you. And
it's not easy. I've been there.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, especially with the breeze.
Just trying to cover for the kids. So
I'm right there with you. 2-back set now for the Panthers. Bartlett in front of Mendoza, and Mendoza will get the carry, gets a couple of yards before he's met by Dixon, who scored the touchdown moments ago.
So now the Royals defense, now they know that the Panthers are a little gun shy about throwing the ball because they threw an INT. So the running game defense is going to be a little bit stiffer. The first couple plays of the first drive, it was a little loose in the middle, we noticed. And that was a pretty stiff play up the middle by the Royals defense.
Yeah, the Knights did not allow a lot of points on the board from their opponents. Toss sweep this time through the hands of Mendoza. He got a favorable hop, but he's going to be wrapped up again. First guy to get to him was Luis Garcia, and then Dixon was right behind him, and it's a big loss for the Panthers.
Yeah, a loss of 11 yards. So the Panthers are in a clear passing situation, about, more than 20.
Yeah, 22 to go, 3rd and 20. Well, they'll move the sticks up in a 3rd and 20 even now. This Royal Knight defense has allowed 14 points twice in the season. They allowed 27 last week, a season high, but, oh, by the way, they put up 61 in the process.
Yeah.
In the state quarterfinals. So,
and those points are probably in garbage time.
Yep, they are a tough defense. And now Tunic under pressure, throws to the wide side, and incomplete. 3 defenders there as he tried to find Dylan Thomas. Closest man covering was Damian De La Rosa for the Knights. And it's a 4th down situation now for Riverview.
And Reed Leffler, number 76 on the defense, was in the quarterback's face. And Tunic threw on his heels. He couldn't get his whole body into that. And that it was triple coverage, or there were 3 defenders in the area, but a perfectly thrown pass would have resulted in a first down there. So that man was open.
Yep, and a tough cross-field throw, too. Mendoza to punt, Myrick back to return. Good kick by Mendoza. Myrick will back away from it. It'll take a Riverview bounce and get down at the 30-yard line. A 48-yard punt with no return. And Royal will go back to work at its own 30.
Riverview will view that exchange as a positive. I mean, the Knights are at their own 30 versus midfield. And the Panthers were really imploding there, and they managed to get it. That was a nice punt. That was a 50-yard punt.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's see what Riverview does this time now. They blitzed last time and paid for it on first down. They gambled first play from scrimmage. So we'll see what they do this time. Royal with a back in the backfield as opposed to all open. And they'll run fly sweep this time with Goroski around the right side, and he'll pick up 5 there.
Taryn Brown on the tackle. So he's seeing a lot of action. He's special teams in the mix everywhere on defense. That play was developing such that, that's a heck of a play for the Knights because it looked like they had one man to beat, and that was Brown, and he made the tackle. And if he didn't, you could have seen a 70-yard run on that play. So that's something that the Panthers defensive coaching staff has got to be worried about.
One of the keys to that fly sweep is hitting it at full speed, and Goroski did that. Myrick, the keeper, out of the spread, and he's going to be about a yard or two short as Alonzo Mendoza brought him down just when he appeared to be getting to the sticks.
Now Mendoza, number 20, the previous tackle by another defensive back. So that's 2 downs and not a first down given up, but the players you don't really want making the tackles are the ones who are doing so, which means your defensive line is getting blocked or getting pushed back.
3rd and a yard to go now for the Knights, and they'll go to an I formation this time. Guerrero in front of De La Rosa, up the middle, and a first down for Royal. Just timing play there where your line can fire out and get you the yard you need.
You know what, for a quarterback sneak, that was a heck of a push by that offensive line. That was a 3-yard push, and it shows you the dominance in the very early going that the Knight offensive line is having over the defensive line.
7.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Royal forced a turnover on the first possession and scored on its first play from scrimmage for a 7-0 lead. Myrick under pressure, incomplete. The pass a little bit behind Brady Dixon.
And the Panther coaching staff, they've done a nice job. The Panther defense is playing very stout defense at the moment against a team that's probably better than this defense. And after that initial, sequence, interception, touchdown, you could have totally imploded. But the defense is holding their own.
Yep, force a 2nd and long here, so we'll see what the Knights elect to do. Obviously try to get about half of it back, not necessarily try to get to the sticks on 2nd down. And they'll go play action. Good pressure, steps away from one rusher. Backside pressure, and Myrick's going to have to take it himself. Got knocked out of bounds just over the 45-yard line. Ricardo Castillo blowing into the backfield that time.
And I'm sure he's saying, darn, I wish I had another shot at that because that was very close to a sack, but very elusive footwork on the part of the QB of the Knights.
Yeah, looking to find Christensen, the motion man, originally down into the flat, and Castillo was there so quickly he didn't get time to let the play develop. So good pressure by the Panthers. Sets up a 4th and 6 situation, and now timeout's going to be called by Riverview. Their coach is calling for it. Didn't like what they saw with their alignment against the set, and the Panthers will take their first of 3 timeouts.
Well, their coach sees an opportunity to stop these guys and get the ball back, which is probably something that a lot of opponents of the Knights do not have an opportunity to do. It's a 3rd and 6 setup, as you mentioned, and the Panthers on their first defensive stand wasn't much of a stand. They gave up a 51-yard touchdown play. So now they've been through 5 or 6 plays and are really putting up stiff defense to the Royal Knights, who are a very powerful offense.
Yep, and a bit of a test here because, again, if you're Royal, if you get 4 or 5 where you're at midfield and short, you might consider this a 2-down situation right now with the 7-0 lead. Although it is awfully early in the ball game to be thinking about shots like that. De La Rosa, the sole back, and they'll run play action. Room on the corner. Myrick will toss, and it's incomplete. A flag thrown. Looked as though Dylan Thomas might have gotten there an instant early on Laddie Goroski.
Yeah, the official was right there. I would venture to say that was an accurate call, as much as the crowd, the the home team crowd does
Yes,
not
because
like
you
that.
can't tell that we're sitting on the Riverview side of the stadium at all from that call.
Can't tell at all. No, no.
Royal fans up bundled on the other side.
So in high school and in college, it's a 15-yard
Correct.
penalty.
But more than enough for the Knights to keep the drive going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas, many people think, well, it's a spot of the foul, that kind of thing. And an automatic first down, which, of course, the 15 yards is enough for the first anyway.
Yeah, Brett Jay and his staff a little upset with the call. In fact, they're still talking to the official on this near sideline.
It was close.
Yeah.
It was close.
But it's a first down for the Knights at the 39-yard line. Myrick in shotgun. And he'll run a quick bubble. Far side, flag thrown on the block, so this one will come back, as they'll say that Guerrero out blocking for Christensen didn't get out the headgear in front, and Knights will be pushed back.
Yeah, I can hear the conversation of the Panthers coach. Come on, those guys are good enough. We don't need to give them any more help on the interference.
So the block in the back will take it back 10 from the point of the infraction, so it should get moved back to about the 46-yard line.
And you'll end up with an oddball 1st and 17,
Yeah.
something like that. But again, the Panthers have stiffened up since that first play, which is basically a mirror image of what we just saw. That one was stopped for 5 yards versus 51.
Yep, and when they've got tackling opportunities today, Don, they're going to have to wrap up first time. We saw when it didn't happen, it resulted in the 49-yard score. Little jump there on the right side of the defensive line. I think they'll get Castillo for the encroachment. So 5 of it will come back.
Of course, in the upper leagues, they would let that play continue.
Right.
But in high school, it just stops right
Broke
there.
the neutral zone. And, of course,
Sure.
fans get frustrated. And right now it's tough for the kids now. We've had 3 out of the last 4 plays get interrupted with flags.
Yep.
So all of a sudden your tempo, your rhythm gets a little
But it is
disjoint.
it's a safety thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's someone with a head start, and it's like, well, bad things can happen.
1st and 12. Guerrero lines up as a wingback this time, and they'll give the ball to De La Rosa, right side. Nice job by the Panther defense to swarm to him in a hurry, and he's brought down after only a couple of yards. Backers got down the line well there, Don.
De La Rosa's a big kid, so the little guys tend to think about bouncing it outside a lot more, and that sideline was open. So he turned it up pretty much into the tacklers, where if he would have had maybe my angle, he would have thought, well, I'll go outside here.
Well, I think you're right. He's probably more of a power guy, too.
Exactly.
So
He's going to run somebody over versus try to, finesse it.
he'll be the sole setback with trips to the wide side here on a 2nd down and 8. Myrick with time, little floater out on the flat. That goes to Guerrero. Inside the 25, broke one tackle, breaks another, and he's down to the 13, and a first down there on a 25-yard play.
Guerrero met up with Taryn Brown, and Brown didn't have a chance against him. He was, a much bigger person to tackle than Brown is, and Guerrero picked up another 15 yards after that initial hit.
So the Knights back in the red zone once again. Myrick with time behind his line, a little crossing route completed for Dixon, and he'll get inside the 5-yard line. A 1st and goal now for Royal.
They do spread it around. They've got outside pass plays over the middle, people squaring in. So the Knights with a lot of weapons. They have a big running back. They can pound it up the middle. So,
and they go no huddle here from the 3-yard line. A little bit of time as Myrick waits to get the call from Coach Wiley Allred and the staff. And now that the sticks are spotted, they'll bunch with 2 splits on 1st and goal. Quarterback keeper up the middle and another touchdown.
And the Knights coaching staff knew that earlier in the drive they got 3 yards of push on the quarterback keeper. So they were like, well, we're at the 2. If we run the same play, we'll get in, and they did.
Remember last week, as we said, Myrick passed for 4 and ran for 4 in a dominating performance in that 61-27 win over Cle Elum Roslyn. And they'll line up again for the extra point. Guerrero with Myrick to hold.
Unbalanced line. A gadget play, they call that.
And into the netting with another one through. No good. They come up with the late signal there as he pulled it wide to the right.
Yeah, they looked at each other to check it out, which is good mechanics. The officials, they want to make sure, okay, we're going to get the same signal here, right?
About the only thing that's gone wrong for the Knights so far here is we're just at the midway point of the first quarter, and Royal has jumped out to a 13-0 lead.
I'm sure the kicker will hear all about that, or that will be critiqued. I mean, a lot of things can go wrong there. It can be the hold. It could be a little bit of timing on the snap, so it's not always the kicker. But he had all kinds of foot into that one. It seemed to be right there. But
that's the first thing they'll give him a bad time about on the bus ride home.
Exactly. And the sun's coming back out, so there is sunshine in November after all.
Absolutely. De La Rosa getting set to kick off once again, with Mendoza and Bartlett back deep for the Panthers. Right now they just need to kind of stabilize things a little bit and just move the ball for 3-4 first downs, as the coaching staff talking to Tunick down on the sidelines right now.
De La Rosa's 205 pounds, so good size high school football player.
They've kicked short every time so far, and every time they booted in the direction of Taryn Brown. Guess what, Taryn? It's you again. Hangs on this time, but runs backwards.
Wrong way.
It's a one way to avoid getting tackled, but he loses 5 on the return, and trying to get back behind the wedge and just couldn't get there. He's brought down just outside the 25-yard line.
Well, last time there may have been footsteps, and that didn't work out. He muffed it, but recovered. This time it was like, well, he probably got some grief from his coach for not catching it. Okay, this time I'm catching it, but, I mean, when you have big guys coming at you, whenever I have big guys coming at me, I don't make the soundest decisions. So
Brown will line up in the slot as Tunick brings him back out. Twins both sides. Actually trips one side as they empty out the backfield here. Pass covered well. Has only the flat throws as he's hit, and it's incomplete trying to find Brown. The Knights really had that one covered well on the slant inside.
Brady Dixon in the quarterback's face. Reed Leffler there as well. No time to really do anything in terms of throwing the football, getting back, looking at anyone who's open. Probably a count of 1, 2, get rid of it, versus what you kind of want 3 or 4.
Yep, Panther staff trying to figure out offensively right now what it is they want to do. And Tunick tries to wind his way through. He'll pick up just a couple of yards.
In a better position than they were in the last drive. They were 3rd and 25 or 22, something like that. So much more manageable, but the passing game has been a little difficult to get on track. The initial interception, and they do need some passing at this point.
They've got to get it right here on a 3rd and 8 situation. Has him spread, looks to go deep middle. Nice catch and a first down at the 46-yard line. Pulled in by Cody Hand. That was not the easiest of passes to pull in, and he made a nice catch up high.
Coverage by Christian Guerrero. Good coverage. He was there. The receiver had a step on him. And the Panthers, that will give them all kinds of confidence. The psychological scales will tilt in their direction now. They'll think that, and appropriately so, that they can maybe play against this defense.
Yep, Tunick hung in there, got the nose up just a little bit. Now looking to throw the little flare out to the sideline, and that's caught. Great touch on the ball. And Josh Marshall pulls it in at the 32-yard line. A 22-yard gain and another first down, and all of a sudden the Panther passing attack has sprung to life with a shift in the wind on. It's at Tunick's back now, and he looks a lot more comfortable.
Good point, and their crowd is into it. Going to give their team a lot more confidence, and that play is, you have to practice that constantly. I mean, the quarterback just floated that up there. Perfect timing. The receiver didn't even look until it was almost right there.
Marshall did a really nice job keeping the defender pinned inside and then flared to Tunick, trying to keep out of the spread. And he'll get about 2 yards diving forward. Got a contact from Christian Guerrero that time, along with some help from Brady Dixon.
One thing they're not going to get out of this Knights defense is running room straight up the middle, because Tatunik was going be off tackle or right behind his tackle and was like, there's just nothing there, and I'm going to move outside. And Tatunik is their ticket to any kind of a game against the Knights. You just don't want to see that kid get hurt, and running him is risky.
On 2nd and 8, tosses in the flat for Brown, and a good shoestring tackle. There's the difference so far as Luis Garcia makes the wrap-up.
Yeah.
Royal has hit every first opportunity on a tackle so far.
Yeah, and Brown, it looked like after he caught the ball, he lost his balance a little bit. He may have had an opportunity to juke or do something to beat that defender. But as you mentioned, the first shot at making a tackle, that's where the Royals, the Knights, have the edge at the moment.
Give him a yard on the catch.
And on the scoreboard.
And they'll go again with spread. Trips right with Brown in the inside slot and Twins to the left side. Tatunik may be making a quick checkoff. They might have signaled a late play change into him. Under pressure again, throws to Brown on the flare, and that's probably the smartest thing that he could have done right there was drop that football, because he just saved him about 7 yards.
It seems like the officials let him get away with a delay
game.
Yeah, it looked like the play clock actually hit 0 before the snap. And what's happening is the coach for the Panthers is calling in the play, and all the players are looking for it, and that slowed down their ability to get their play off.
They're going to go for it here on 4th and 8 at the 30-yard line rather than try a pooch punt and bottle up. Pump fake and trying to throw an out route to the sideline, and that is caught inbounds. What a great reception over on the far side, taken by Cody Hand again, and he's been the star of the quarter right now for Riverview with a couple great catches.
Jake Janet was on coverage and seemed like there was some contact on that. It didn't matter. The catch was made, and as you mentioned, Todd, it was an excellent catch.
Kept his feet in well. Jeanette 5'11", Hand 6'2", part of the reason why that pass got completed. Officials are conferring on the far side.
Is there a flag?
I don't see one anywhere. I see the cone markers to help keep people off the sideline.
Okay.
And a sideline warning has been given to Royal.
Yeah.
They did throw a flag there. It is clear over by the coaching box. First time that's a warning. Next time it's a penalty.
Yeah, the next time it would be a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against the coach. And the officials, they have a real interest in making sure that 3 yards from the sideline, it's all cleared out. I mean, wide receivers run out there. Sometimes they get pushed out of bounds while the play's still going.
Well,
officials are running out.
Exactly. And, of course,
the
coaching and team boxes are marked here in a contrasting blue at the stadium, so it's pretty evident. So first down for the Panthers as this drive continues with a couple of great conversion pickups on Hand receptions. He's on the Hands team, that's for sure. Sweep here with Dylan Thomas. Good job to tuck it back inside and gets forward for a couple.
Yeah, he was going to be strung outside for no loss, so good vision and decision-making to cut it back up inside to pick up a couple, although that was pretty crowded right there. And Thomas did come up limping. So
yeah, the ankle grab there as Leffler got to him.
He'll walk it off.
Yep, they'll bring him off. Castillo will come in, and Mendoza returns in the backfield now on 2nd and 9. Tatunik under pressure, has to tuck it away. Headgear comes off from the tackler as Marcos Morales got to him. He'll have to leave for a play, but that'll give him more time to celebrate with his teammates.
Yes, it will. On the blitz. And Tatunik had a chance to unload the ball, but personally I didn't see what he was looking at. He decided to pull it back, and that was good judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he didn't fumble made everything well, because he was very exposed and the ball was kind of out in the open there. It could have easily been a disaster.
Did that with one back protection, too. Good blitz call by the Knights makes it a 3rd and 18 here from the 22-yard line. They stunt blitz again, and Tatunik pulls back out, looks over to the sideline. Dixon stunted from his outside backer, and that's enough to have Riverview take its second time out here in the quarter.
And a play clock was down to 2 seconds.
Yeah, and they're facing a key one here if they want to do anything. A third and 18 situation as they try to cut this deficit in half.
Yeah, 13-0 first quarter. The game started off on a rough note for the Panthers as they threw an interception on their opening possession. And then the first play from scrimmage was a 51-yard touchdown play by the Knights. So on the second drive, the Knights, it was more of a sustained drive where they snuck it in from about 2 yards out after starting their drive at the 30-yard line. So that was a 70-yard drive. So it was contrasting ways to get into the end zone by the Knights, resulting in a 13-0 score here in the first quarter.
Looking more and more as though the winner of this game will be facing Montesano for the state championship. They've just scored again in the Tacoma Dome, and they lead 28-0 with 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter over Mount Baker. Big play here for the Panthers. They flip Mendoza in the backfield. We'll see what that does to their protection here. Tatunic pump fake will float it for the end zone and knocked down incomplete. Myrick probably had a second interception if his own teammate Goroski hadn't run into him there.
Yeah, that play really wasn't there. In the safety for the Knights did a nice job. He came over and helped out, and that's the purpose of a safety on a defense. Now, if he hadn't done that, that was an open play.
Yeah. Well, it was up for grabs to Marshall, who had one nice catch on that little sideline route, but Myrick coming over to break it up. And the Panthers line up for what would be a 39-yard field goal here from Alonzo Mendoza. Taryn Brown is the holder as the Panthers look to get on the board pretty well straight away.
The wind in their favor, or breeze in their favor.
Bit of a high snap, pulled down nicely. He's got the distance and pushed it wide to the right side.
He did have the distance.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes those two guys, you think they look at one another, and we can't hear them. They go, what do you think? Well, I don't know. What do you think? It did look like it was a little wide to the right, though. So a great drive, by far the best of the game for Riverview, but it stalls, and the missed field goal attempt gives Royal the ball back again at the 22-yard line.
But from a coaching and psychological standpoint, the Panthers are feeling pretty good about themselves. They had a nice long sustained drive. Their defense was on the resting on the bench for a long time. They came close to scoring. They attempted a field goal. It was close. So they feel like they can play with this team, which is a big improvement from what they felt probably 15 minutes ago.
But as you pointed out too, Don, they're going to have to find some portion of a running attack that doesn't involve Tatunic every time.
Yeah.
Everything's been through the air so far for the Panthers.
They ought to try some draw plays, Tatunic's usually back there by himself, so they're not showing any possible draw. Maybe they got that in their bag of tricks for later on.
So Myrick in shotgun, first down for Royal. And on the mesh exchange, he'll take it, has good room to the left side, and will get out over the 30-yard line for another first down before he's brought down by Taryn Brown.
Kent Christensen, number 34, if you could see him on the screen there, he threw a block that busted that play open. And that's something that the Knights have, is mean blocking straight ahead. They are dominating the line of scrimmage, and they can run straight ahead, right, left, and they can throw all over the place. So they're a very well-balanced team.
First down from the 31, De La Rosa the setback, and they'll go play action again. Juggling attempt incomplete by Dixon as the pass was a little bit tall from Myrick. By the way, Don, to go back to your last point, at any point in the game today, we will be unable to say good play by Christensen because there are 6 Christensens on the Royal roster. Is there 7? It could be. Well, maybe Darren's the assistant coach. He counts as number 7. But
yeah, good play by Christensen. You pretty much got it covered.
That's true. Christensen to Christensen, and a fine block by Christensen. So, run by De La Rosa, gets through the initial containment, runs over Brown, and takes it out to the 38-yard line, where it's going to bring up a 3rd and 3.
I asked for the so-called skinny on that, and there's
what, on the Christensens?
Yeah,
all right.
There's 2 Christensen families. I'm like, 7?
Yeah, I figured you can't get 7 all high school age for just one source. So
but 7 out of 2 families?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it seems excessive as well. But
what could be the final play of this first quarter here, depending on what the Knights elect to do, as they face a 3rd and 3. One-man split in a tight bunch formation as they go power. De La Rosa, and he appears to be brought down short. Nice job of shooting the gap that time by Cody Bartlett. And it'll bring up a 4th down here for Royal as we come to the end of the first quarter of play.
So the Panthers stood up to a run up the middle against these guys. And so in high school football, it's all about coaching. I mean, you have great players, but the Panthers coaching staff could be making some adjustments.
Couple early scores for the Knights, but Riverview settles down, gets a good drive, but comes up empty at the end of 1 in this semifinal game. It's the Royal Knights 13 and the Riverview Panthers nothing. We'll return to Kennewick after this timeout on the WIAA network.
My family and I were enjoying
trip safety check.
Situation just past their own 39-yard line. And we'll see whether Myrick elects to use any sort of cadence here at all, or if they're going to go ahead and kick, and they do drop a punter back now. And that is Brady Dixon set back to kick, and he's going to run the fake. They've got the right side. It's going to depend on this tackle. They don't get it. He steps out of bounds at the 43, but that's enough for the first down for Royal.
And that's the kind of stuff you can do when you're leading and you're a dominating team. You know, if it doesn't work out, your defense can go in there and, fix it up.
Riverview dropped 2 in punt formation, so they were outflanked a little bit in this situation. But Royal, as you saw, had 3 in the backfield. They got good blocking on the edge, and they keep the drive alive with a conversion on the run out of punt formation. Myrick, low floater in the flat. Nice catch by Dixon. He has it reached behind a little bit. He'll be wrapped up about a yard short of another first down, as hanging on for dear life was Taryn Brown, along with some help from Cody Hand.
Yeah, that's a deflator for the Panthers defense to be so close to getting the ball back and stopping the Knights, and then they just continue their drive. So, and now they have a short 2nd and 1. They could go deep on this one.
Yeah, great time to dial up a long one, you're right. Instead, it'll be the read option, and that gets plenty for Myrick. He breaks a tackle, the ball comes loose, and Riverview appears to be on top of it with Taryn Brown recovering the fumble. Well, you get that temptation, Don, just to strain for something extra, and it cost the Knights there.
Maybe it was Cody Hand who ripped that out of there. He's number 83 if he's in the picture. But that's what you needed. The Panthers are thinking, aha, we can start ripping the ball out. It works once, and then you'll see that all game long.
Yeah, Myrick with the first down already picked up and tried to strain forward for a little more, exposed the ball. And so the first turnover of the game against the Knights gives Riverview good field position at its own 34-yard line, early second quarter. They get a great run on the corner here from Cody Bartlett. Myrick's going to have to chase him down and spills him at the 34-yard line of Royal. Make it the 33. It's a 33-yard run from scrimmage.
What was the weakness before is now a strength of the Panthers. Running outside was the only thing they could do earlier. They couldn't get anything inside, and running outside was something the Knights were looking for and stopping. But now they come way across the midfield stripe and are in good position to set up for a score.
Well blocked Mendoza and Brown on that edge to set up the best gainer on the ground all day long so far for the Panthers. They'll go back to Bartlett again. He winds it left side. Really kind of took it through a quick hole and then brought it to the outside. Gets down to the 28-yard line that time before Marcos Morales tackles him.
Yeah, Bartlett broke it inside, took the handoff, slanted in, and then broke it back out. So the outside is being kind to the Panthers at the moment.
Little delay momentarily while Castillo gets his shoe jammed back on. And now the officials are calling for a timeout. And they're going to tell Castillo, let's get it fixed right, as it was unlaced and everything else. So a good break there, and it spares the Panthers from having to use their final timeout of the half, too.
Now, I'm surprised they're letting them do this. They usually just say, off the field, get another kid in here, another player in here. As the PA team plays this music. Now, usually you play this
I'll
music.
take What Is This Music for 200, Alex.
Yeah. I would lose that game. But you usually would play this music if the opposing player was out there to kind of razz them a little bit.
We're at a neutral field, so maybe they'll play it both ways.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Okay.
Short gainer down to the 25-yard line, and that time Bartlett gets upset before he can get to the stick. So it's going to bring up a 3rd and short here for the Panthers.
They ran the exact same play. So twice in a row they gave to Bartlett, who slanted in towards the middle. We all know that that's not been successful, and break it back out.
Yeah, he's winding it back like a pistol back right now is what he's doing. So we'll see what they come up with here. And it is sort of a bit of a modified pistol formation. It's Castillo in that little tight slot off right side. Tunic paused and spins to pick up the first down. Down to the 17-yard line that time. Emilio Bustos leads the tacklers. But Don, that moment's hesitation by Tunic made all the difference.
And the spin. He spun 360 after the first tackler was missed. He spun past another tackler. That was excellent running by the quarterback. He probably trying to, save his body from being blown up spinning, but it was very effective to avoid a tackle.
Panthers now with their deepest penetration of the game into Royal territory and a first down at the 19-yard line. They missed a field goal on their last possession of the ball. Tunic with time, throws a little off balance and incomplete as he tried to find Brown in the end zone. Brown being sort of walled off that time by Jake Jeanette in the end zone as Jeanette let the ball drop over the two of them.
A lot of contact. They were both going for the ball, but Jeanette was sort of in the way of Brown getting to the football, and no call. I'm not sure if the coaches are yelling about that, but there was some contact. Just as long as the offensive player or the defender don't go through one another, they're okay. Yeah. A little contact going for the ball is fine.
I thought it was pretty well played on both sides that time. But 2nd and 10. Bartlett again winding left. Got tripped up at the last minute. And again, the helmet comes off for Marcos Morales. So he'll make a second trip over to the sideline.
That play is working very well for the Panthers. Bartlett slanting in and then breaking out. That's 3 out of the 4 last plays they've run that. And 2 of those plays out of the 3 have resulted in 5 or more yards. So.
Yep, and they go left side every time behind the good blocking there from one of their co-captains, Spencer Combs, at the tackle, and Austin Weatherby, another co-captain, on that left side. So a 3rd and 5 situation now for the Panthers. They run it again, and Royal able to shoot the gap that time as the Knights were able to bring Kent Christensen across the line of scrimmage from his defensive line position and blow that one up.
So you would imagine a field goal attempt would be forthcoming here. It would be a shorter attempt than what we saw. We saw 39 yards a few minutes ago before the quarter change. This one to be a little bit into the breeze. Well, they're not going for it.
Yep, lining up for it on 4th and 7. From the 16-yard line, Royal showing blitz. And Tunic waiting and a flag thrown. Still time on the clock, so I think the left end, I think it might have been Brown who jumped because Bartlett was motioning to him and talking to him. Yeah. And it'll cost them 5, and I'd be real surprised on 4th and 14 if they elect for a field goal here. Officials are down again talking to the coaching staff. They're trying to appeal that call, that decision, and now you can see Taron Brown a little bit upset with himself for the jump. So Brett Jay and his staff need to shake off the penalty call right now and decide what they're going to do, and they are going to use a timeout, it appears. Yep, and that's their 3rd and final timeout at the half. So 8:01 to play in the second quarter, and again, Riverview in a clutch situation here.
They must not like, unless they elect to kick now, they must not like the breeze, because it's a significant breeze, 7 or 8 miles an hour. That would be going against the kicker. Yeah. And the angle would be a little tougher. You're on the left hash. Actually, that might be an easier angle. So I'm not really sure why they feel like they have to go for it unless they figure that they just have not the confidence they need in their field goal team.
Well, this one would be from 38. They missed from 39, but their kicker, Mendoza actually had the distance just fine. He pushed it off to the right. But all indications, and you wouldn't use a timeout to line up a field goal, one wouldn't think, so. All right, Marshall will split wide right, Brown to the left as they come out of the huddle. And a 4th and 12 situation. Bartlett, the single setback. Knights backpedal defensively to Tunick. Lots of time. Deep middle, and Hand is there for the catch. And he's brought down. No, it is a touchdown. Long deliberation. How's that for a 4th down conversion? And Riverview gets on the board.
Well, I have to hand it to the coaching staff. Brett Jay, head coach of the Panthers, for going for that. It just didn't seem to be a very high percentage move at all. And for a team that couldn't throw the ball in the beginning of the game, they went for it on 4th and very long and threw a touchdown pass against the Knights and are really back in this game at this point.
Mendoza on to attempt the extra point. Brown the holder. That is very, very high. And it gets through. It was an adventure for a while.
It was. It didn't look good, but it was effective. All the previous kicks looked far better, but they weren't effective.
Not sure if it was even going to reach the net there for a minute, to be honest. And, in fact, it collects in the net at the bottom. It was so short.
And that's probably why they didn't go for the field goal.
Well, and let's give some credit to Cody Hand now. 3 great receptions, including that touchdown grab on a 4th down conversion. He has been the key to success so far for Riverview in this ball game.
And to Tunick, throwing that pass, he's been under all kinds of pressure, but the pass blocking has gotten a lot better. He had time to throw.
Well, and interesting that Royal, they played cushion. They dropped back, decided they'd give him the short pass, and instead they gave up deep middle, something you don't want to do because it looked like they were playing cover 3 there the way they backpedaled. And a Hand with a great catch in the seam between the linebackers and the 3 deep, and then was able to get the ball over the edge of the goal line.
And, of course, we don't have any kind of an angle on the goal line, but that had to be close. He had to just broken the plane because from our angle, it looked like it was going to be 1st and goal.
Yeah, and the official marched it off originally. He had his feet down and indicating as if the ball were just short of the goal line, and then all of a sudden, boy, one of the coaches on the staff up there is more hopped up than the kids for Riverview. He's down there jumping up and down and sprinting. As the Panthers kick off, they'll try to pull one to one side of the field as well and try to pin Goroski in. And he'll get dragged down by Bartlett right at the 20-yard line with a shirt pull.
Taryn Brown was in on that tackle as well. So the Panthers have really turned it around. They looked like they weren't going to be able to compete in the beginning of this game.
Big key here, I think, Don, now for the Panthers defensively. They don't need to get a 3 and out, but they need to stop Royal from getting some momentum and moving the ball down the field. If the Knights are able to answer right back, it's, again, a big emotional shift.
And again, the sustained drive by the Panthers has given their defense plenty of rest. So it's a very well evenly played game at this point where it was pretty lopsided to start.
Myrick looking to go long on 1st down, has a man wide open, caught inside the Riverview 35-yard line. Laddie Goroski, who appears in the first half to us to be probably the quickest player from scrimmage, and he got behind the defensive back there for a big gainer on 1st down.
That was thrown 55 yards in the air. That was one heck of a throw. And at the high school level.
Gain of 47 yards on the play and a 1st down at the Riverview 33-yard line. And there's a big emotional flip again. The stands underneath us quiet. The kids on the sidelines all of a sudden standing quietly. Not necessarily heads down, but a lot more reserved. And right back they come, and a powering run by De La Rosa will get another 1st down.
Man, he had Josh Marshall on his heels and De La Rosa put his shoulder down and made it look like it was really no contest whatsoever, like a Mack truck just ran him over. Marshall was a little unbalanced, though.
Little quick toss juggled and incomplete as Gorosky took his eyes off the ball and looked upfield.
Yeah, tried to run before he caught it.
Yeah.
Which we've all been guilty of.
So 2nd and 10 as the Knights will look over to the sideline, get the play call from Coach Wiley Allred. First time back in the semis in 4 years for a Royal team that's used to advancing at least that far. Myrick the fake sprint draw up the middle, and he'll take it inside the 20. Bring up a manageable 3rd down situation here.
The Knights seem to be kind of mad that they gave up that touchdown.
Yeah.
They're really playing quick and hitting hard here.
Mendoza leading the way on the tackle. And a 3rd down situation. They again try to bubble it to Gorosky, and it's well read by Riverview as they got out there with Brown in a hurry, and he had some help from Cody Bartlett closing.
The Knights are playing away from their strength right now. They should be able to just pound the ball up the middle against the Panthers defense.
4th and 6 situation here now for Royal. Myrick taking a look, trips to the right side. He'll roll it there. Under pressure, stayed on his feet. Whistle is not blown, and now he'll be brought down at the 18-yard line, and Riverview makes a defensive stand. So they bend but not break in big time both ways there.
Excellent effort by Myrick. He would have been thrown for a loss, but got out of that, and I'm sure you're coached as a quarterback. You know, if you take a hit and you're going down, just go down. I mean, when you get back up and try to keep on going, you really have exposed yourself to a big second hit. But, you know, he got a few extra yards out of it. Didn't result in what they needed, those, as they were looking for a 1st down on a 4th down play.
Not that we've had too many emotional peaks and valleys here over the last couple of minutes, huh?
No.
Touchdown, big play, and then a hold, and now time's going to be taken, I think, by Royal. Yeah, as they had only 10 players on the field. Sprinted their 11th man, Carter Christensen, on, but a timeout taken by Royal. Their first of the half with 6:19 to play here in the 2nd quarter and a 13-7 lead.
Yeah, so the Panthers, they escaped there without any points being scored. Now, I'm just wondering about the Knights. I'm a person who firmly believes in kicking a field goal if you have one at hand.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Knights are used to just blowing people out of the stadiums, and I doubt their field goal unit gets a lot of practice. So you end up going for a lot of 4th downs, and that leaves the Panthers at this point in a good position.
Oh, by the way, that was Carter Christensen, the 6'1 senior, as opposed to the other Carter Christensen, the 5'10 sophomore.
Okay.
So apparently there's a Carter somewhere in the lineage that they're named after too.
So we cannot be completely accurate.
What do you do when you're Coach Wiley Allred?
Christensen.
Yeah, and 7 of them show. Yeah.
If you all had him on the offensive line, that could work out. You know?
Be handy in basketball season. Little ball pops loose there after a hit. It is a live ball, and it appeared as though Royal got on top of it, and they have. Brady Dixon with the fumble recovery after a bad exchange on the handoff. Mendoza very frustrated right there. It was a bad mesh, and then he got popped again before he could put the ball away. And a big break here for the Knights.
What'd you say about emotions changing?
Yeah.
Again.
I think there's a seesaw somewhere in the stadium.
Well, so the Knights have a pretty short field here, and that's like a pretty obvious statement.
Yep. 6:12 to play in the quarter. Royal with 2 timeouts remaining and a 1st down now at the Riverview 16-yard line. De La Rosa will be flipped to the other side. They have ISO coverage to the near boundary. Pressure on Myrick. Didn't see it. Blindside. Stays alive for a minute and then gets bulldogged down by Cody Bartlett, whom I would suspect is a wrestler in his spare time with that move.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of football players wrestle.
Yeah.
But Myrick, he wasn't about to go down there. I was wondering at the very, very end of that play if the play was really over. The officials probably said, yeah, we'll blow the whistle here. We don't need anybody to get too pummeled.
Bartlett coming in from that Strong side linebacker position untouched on the blitz. And a loss of 7 on the play. He gets right around the tight end again. Toss twisting in the flat, incomplete. As they tried to find Guerrero, he'd run a bit of an inside route. The ball got delivered over his outside shoulder with Josh Marshall defending.
The way this game has evolved, it's as if the two teams are completely different than what the game started with. I mean, here you have in the red zone for the Knights, and it's like if you would have bet, you would have said, well, the chances of them scoring from here are like 99%. And now we're at 3rd and, 18?
Yeah, Panthers have dialed up back-to-back blitz pressure. They'll walk Marshall up alongside the 4-man front this time. Fly sweep handoff. Gorowski's just going to run out of room up. That near side boundary run is always so difficult when you're trying to get big yardage, and he goes out at the 17-yard line. It's going to be a 4th and 10.
I remember, I think it was Willamette, a famous Division II team from Oregon, ran that fly sweep like forever, every play. I mean, it's nice to see it once in a while, but...
Yeah, but it worked for Coach Beckman. That whole fly offense really clicked,
No one liked playing against that.
Yep. 4th and 12 officially, as they say he stepped out of bounds at the 18. Blitz pressure coming the other way. Myrick circling around. He saw 32 coming after him. He keeps wheeling, gets rid of the ball, and incomplete. Down at about the 10-yard line. Hand with the defensive coverage on Guerrero. But in was Cody Bartlett, and Myrick wanted no part of that again.
I guess we'd have to say at this point a weakness, if there is any in the Knights team, is that they don't have a field goal unit, because that's the second time they went for it on 4th when you're definitely, I'm not sure that would have been a 40-yarder about. So
the Panther defense, boy, they're giving the rest of the team a lift right now. They withstood the big play in the last possession, and not only do they hold after the turnover, they actually move Royal back on the possession. So first down here for the Panthers now at their own 18-yard line. Tunic with time, and that one just knocked down. Tried to send one in a hurry, and Kent Christensen was on top of that one.
That could have been a disaster for the Panthers. So Riverview is on the previous possession, they fumbled the handoff and gave the Knights the ball right there within the red zone. So here we are again. That thing was almost picked, thrown right into the big arms of a defender.
Tunic the rollout, trying to set the screen back for Bartlett. It looked as though the defender got held while the ball was in the air. They got a big break there as it was defended properly by Kent Christensen. But as he waited, out came one of the linemen, Austin Weatherby, and just leveled him while the ball was in the air.
There's a flag way on the other side.
Yeah.
I doubt he was calling what you were describing, because it looked like it was a pass interference.
Yeah, it was a nice catch by Bartlett. Royal had it well defended, and we await the call. Boy, that's the first time I've heard a high school player's number get called.
Yeah.
They don't usually do that at this level, but they explain it there. And the call.
That's it. That's a good one, Todd. I've never heard that either. Although just recently the officials seem to all be mic'd up. So, but it is high school. It's a team game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Federation, they still don't do that with high school players' numbers. They are going to confer, and they could also, to be honest, have called Weatherby as he was downfield as well. So either way, it goes back. The short screen will be nullified, and now they'll march it off for the ineligible receiver downfield as a 5-yard penalty against the
number
Panthers.
76 Wyatt Beeler. And now that we knew who he was, which person it was, he was mad at himself.
I wasn't going to blame him. But,
me either.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you ID'd
I'm
him.
sure I'd be downfield constantly. I mean, I'm not blaming him.
Yep. So a 2nd and 15, little option pitch now to Marshall. Gets good downfield blocking and broke a tackle. Out of bounds over the 25-yard line and very close to a first down. They'll spot up at the 29, and that is good enough for a first down for the Panthers with 4:46 to play here in the first half.
Wyatt Beeler could have said, hey, I was just setting up that next play, so.
Nice look there by the Panthers. First time, Don, they've really shown us option after kind of going to more of a pistol inside set with the last possession of Bartlett.
Panthers really stalling on this end of the field, but maybe they'll get out of there now with about 5 minutes to go in the half. They could tie or take the lead.
And Brett Jay just turned up here to the coaches in the booth and gave them a kind of point. Good call for coming up with that option. Here's the run through the middle again, and Bartlett up to the 41-yard line, 12 more yards, and another first down.
You know adjustments have been made if the Panthers are running up the middle against the Knights. They couldn't do anything along that line in the first quarter, and that was a first down run.
Clock starts up again after they spot the sticks, or at least it should have. It is not moving when it should be.
Yep, it's not moving.
Yeah.
And it should be.
So our crew might want to keep an eye on that. Tatunik on the keeper, tries to pick his way through the line, and he'll get forward for 4 more.
So on the previous drive, they kept everything on, well, not the previous one, the one prior to that when they scored the touchdown, everything was on the outside. All of the runs, remember they were running that play to Bartlett where he'd slant into the middle and then break back outside. Now they're running everything straight up the middle. So maybe the Knights have adjusted and they're countering the adjustment.
Yeah, they're keeping them off.
A chess match.
Off balance, yeah. Royal and it's 4-3 set to Tunick. Quick drop down the sideline. That looked like a hold. And the ball caught by Marshall. Stays in bounds. And is thrown down inside the 10-yard line by Myrick. Just a little quick toss there to Marshall. He did most of the work himself. There is a flag back at the 45, but I think that's going to be for the hold on the pass play. Yep. And it'll be declined by the Panthers.
I think you're right, Todd. You know, when you're going to get beat, hey, try holding that receiver, but that didn't work either.
Yeah, that's one of those hang on for dear lives, and he didn't hang on that much. They'll come over and tell Tatunik, hey, it's on them. I'm sure you don't want it.
Well, you want to be subtle, right? You want to try to get away with it. Well, I'll hold a little bit, and nope, that didn't work.
They're actually going to call it pass interference. To me, it was a hold because it happened before the ball was even in the air. But either way, it's declined, and it's 1st and goal for Riverview. And remember, they only got 7 the entire game against Royal. With a touchdown and conversion, they could take the lead here going into halftime. 39-7 the first go-round, and they were on their heels down 13-0 early, but have bounced back. The
Knights coaching staff would have their hands full if they fall behind. Now trying to keep their team in the game.
They've got man ISOs on both Marshall and Brown here if they want to go that way. They'll give it instead to Bartlett, left side. Down to the 5-yard line, met by a couple of tacklers there. First guy to him was Luis Garcia for Royal, but the Panthers continue to move the ball. Remember, they are without timeouts, so if they get in a jam, there's not much they can do. And they're scrambling a little bit here on 2nd down.
They don't need to scramble, though.
No, they've got plenty of time. The play clock just started. Bartlett again, about a yard, so a 3rd and goal situation this time. And again, Garcia is the man who drags him down with some help from Christian Fernandez.
Well, they may be detecting some confusion and anxiety on the part of the defense, and, hey, hurry up, you know.
Marshall out, Mendoza in now on 3rd and goal, as Marshall appears to be holding his face and or face mask. Yeah, it looks almost as though he got accidentally poked in the eye as he comes over to the Riverview sideline. Not what they want on 3rd and goal.
Trying to call the play so all the players see the signal.
9 seconds on the play clock. Tatunik motioning to his receivers. The bench scrambling. 3, 2, he'll get it off. Blitz. Hand to Mendoza. A run blitz by Royal. They shot both A-gaps, and they bring him down, and it's 4th and goal.
So it's 4th down.
Tatunik was going to signal for timeout. He went over towards the official and made the signal, and then the bench screamed at him, said, don't do that. We don't have any left. They're going to go for it. The play clock has not started yet. Now they mark it good, and now the officials call a timeout, as the play clock should have started quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and we don't have a ticket in this one way or the other, but the Panthers have benefited from some clock work on this drive with game clock not moving.
Yeah.
They're going to reset the game clock, they said, to 2:05, but they've gotten a lot of help from the play clock on this drive.
Plenty of time left, 2 minutes in the half.
And a full 25 here. So they've got plenty of time to do whatever they wish.
But it is a fourth down play.
Correct. Mendoza remains the back. Marshall Bartlett on the sidelines here on 4th and goal. The Tunic slant route. Caught. Touchdown, Marshall.
Well, I tell you, Kent Christensen on defense had his hands up to block the pass, and the pass was thrown right through his hands. I mean, that's what you call threading the needle.
They have converted 2 fourth down plays for touchdowns and a chance to take the lead with Mendoza on to attempt the extra point. Taryn Brown, the holder. And he drives that one solidly through. After being down 13-0, 6 minutes into the game, Riverview is now in front, 1:50 to play in the second quarter. It's the Panthers 14 and the Royal Knights 13.
So the Knights haven't been, I wonder if they've even been behind this season. I mean, you kind of have to ask a question like that. I mean, not that I expect you to know.
Yeah,
but
I have not been to their game.
Based on the review we did pregame, they were blowing people out left and right, and we were thinking, is this game going to be competitive given that the Panthers lost 39-7?
Yeah, they have held 10 of their 13 opponents to 7 or fewer points in the season, including 5 shutouts, and that includes a streak of 4 straight. So they won a month of shutouts at one point toward the end of the regular season.
Well, this is an excellent high school football game, and it has the potential to get a lot better because the Panthers are playing like they're probably playing the best game they've played this season.
Well, yeah, and a lot of it's been keyed by their stout defense, too.
And against adversity. I mean, they were down 13-0, and they were not playing well.
Yeah. And they've not had many challenges either. In the regular season, they pretty well sailed by everybody with the exception of Royal, and then won their playoff games 27-14 over Chewelah and 14-0 over Quincy last week. They'll pooch another short kick. Gorosky on the run, stays in bounds on the catch, and gets it up to the 33-yard line where he's tackled by Jeff Leachman. And Royal will have the ball there with 1:45 to play in the first half.
I mean, you'd never fault a receiver for catching that kick. But if it went out of bounds, I mean, if he didn't catch it, it would have went out of bounds. And that would have given his team a little bit more field position.
Yeah.
They would have gotten it at the 40-yard line, basically.
So last time the Knights were in this spot, they went long. Will they do it again? They have Gorosky wide to the left in the trips formation to the far side. They'll look underneath to Gorosky instead. Couple linemen out to block for him and overshot what he really needed. And it only turns into about a 3-4 yard gain. 2 linemen pulled too far. Otherwise, he would have had an escort down the field.
What's the timeout situation? I don't see
I think
that.
2 remaining
for
Royal. And none for Riverview. They'll hand it off now to De La Rosa, trying to get the Panthers back on their heels, and he'll pick up a first down at the 46, and the clock will stop while they reset the chains with 1:13 to play.
Taryn Brown with an effective open field tackle there against a player much bigger than he. And if he didn't make that tackle, it was see you later.
Yeah. Knights fans up on their feet making noise over on the far side. Good turnout for them. Big hole here on the keeper for Myrick. Now it's just the secondary to beat. Inside the 20, inside the 15, close to the 10-yard line before Marshall and Mendoza brought him down.
Well, the Knights got down there in a hurry.
Yeah.
They've done that before and stalled.
43-yard run that time by Myrick to pick up the first down at the 11-yard line.
But as you mentioned, they have 2 timeouts, so plenty of time here to retake the lead.
1 minute exactly remaining in what has been an entertaining first half of play here at Lamson Stadium.
And there goes those emotions flip-flopping again.
Tight formation, 2 to the left side. The Riverview defensive coaches are seeing something they don't like because they're hollering next door to us. And again, one of their men jumped on the bottom side of the defensive line. Looked as though Mike Anderson might have jumped that time.
And encroachment, okay,
Yep.
defense. Well, that makes it a little bit easier. Brings up a 1st and 5 since a first down can be had at about the 1 yard line.
Yeah. De La Rosa, the sole setback. Dixon in as the tight end on the right side of the formation. In fact, twin tights here on 1st and 5. And they'll give it to De La Rosa. Gets down for a couple yards. And Anderson, the guy who jumped the snap count a minute ago, coming around the end nicely there to make the tackle.
Game clock running. Waiting for someone to call a timeout, but
Nope, they're just
that's not
signaling
gonna
in the
happen.
play, and the Knights will come to the line. 2nd and goal. Still Twins wide to the left side. And Myrick looking to throw out into the flat. Caught. Touchdown Royal. Kent Christensen with the reception.
So that was from 5 yards out. And the Knights retake the lead. They're up by 5. And they've changed up their game quite a bit since the first quarter. They threw a pass into the flat for that score, and that's something you wouldn't have thought they would have done earlier in the game.
Should go for 2 here, one would suspect,
Yeah, that would make it a
to
full
give the
7-point.
7-point lead. Yeah, they moved the ball down the field in just a minute and 22 seconds for the score, but no, they're lining up for the kick again. Guess they'll save some of that for later if needed. And as high scoring as they are, that makes sense as well. Guerrero out of the hold of Myrick. They'll go for 2 from kick formation. Wow. Put it up for grabs, and
he
it's
got
caught. Taryn Brown was all over the receiver. Thought he had a play, and they actually had a man short in the end zone. Instead, it's a jump by Brady Dixon to out-jump Taryn Brown for the 2-point conversion.
Wow. You know, when good teams have their back against the wall, I guess that's really reserved for the fourth quarter, but when they go behind, they kick it into another gear, and they came downfield and scored impressively with a long quarterback run.
Yeah.
And then 2 passes to the left in the end zone. And that second catch, as you mentioned, Todd, was outstanding.
But amazing to go for 2 out of kick formation. I mean, I guess that keeps them off balance a little bit. And don't look now, but Gangnam Style has broken out as the small children are dancing in the bleachers. Adults are still trying to figure out the steps. I will point out, too, there was a little clock error again as somebody started running the clock on the point after conversion and took a couple seconds off before
I did not notice that.
realizing their error. So,
They put it back?
No,
No,
it's
they
sitting there
haven't
at
put it back.
26-1. The officials didn't see it.
Well, the back judge is supposed to be, well, they must all know it. I mean, the
Yeah.
back judge or the line judge, I can't remember which, has the responsibility of watching the game clock and carries the stopwatch in the chance they need to, in case they decide the clock operator's totally worthless.
Well, they kick it to the other side this time, to the left, and they kicked it to a good set of hands in Marshall. He'll take it out to the 40-yard line, and maybe the clock operator held a couple. It's gone both ways, to be honest, in the first half.
Sure.
So,
But, as would be stating the obvious, clock errors towards the end of a half tend to be a bit more critical than, the ones that took place long ago.
And off we go again.
And so will the Panthers be content to just kneel down? No.
No, that wouldn't be Gangnam Style, or Panther Style for that matter. If they're going to play the horsey dance, you got to let the horses run free, and that's what they'll try to do with Mendoza. Out to the 45-yard line. Keep in mind, however, the Panthers cannot stop the clock.
That's probably it right there.
Tatunik sprinting up to the line of scrimmage, looks to the sideline to the coaches, and they said, guys, we're just going to leave it there. A well-played first half and a game that is up for grabs with a lot of emotion going back and forth both ways, as we said. Royal coming from behind to take the lead at halftime, but Don, as both coaching staffs go past us, this one's going to be a battle in the second half.
I like it. 21-14 at halftime. That's, if you're a football fan, that's a a nice score, because it's not a defensive battle, which can become overly boring at times. And plenty of scoring and action going.
My family and I were enjoying it.
And we are underway with the third quarter of this semifinal game as Royal has Goroski breaking away on the return. He may take it the distance. It's a foot race with Brown, and Brown will grab him by the pads and yank him down inside the 25-yard line, saving the touchdown. But big momentum for Royal as we begin a third quarter. Don, this may be an up and down second half.
Yeah, and the emotions changing there, because I'm sure the Panthers were sky high, as they say, coming out of the locker room with all their new adjustments. And that was one heck of a kick return, because we weaved inside and then back to the outside. And as you mentioned, Brown made the touchdown-saving tackle for good measure, tried to pop the ball out at the end.
Oh, yeah,
so
always the SWAT. So Goroski gives Royal great field position and a flag thrown before the Knights can snap the ball, and it looked like somebody jumped on the outside.
I think we determined that Montesano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
21-14 our score here as we get set to start the third quarter. And the winner will face Montesano, as you said. What'd you say, 28-0? I think, yeah.
No,
28.
it wasn't a shutout. Let me check.
Thought we had 28-0 over Mount Baker. Was the?
It was 28-6.
Okay, they did get one late then. All right. So Montesano, we're awaiting the winner of this one next weekend in the Tacoma Dome. Good day for football here in Kennewick, though. Myrick, the keeper, off of the mesh exchange. And after the 5-yard penalty, he'll get that, most of it back, maybe about 4.5 or so. And second and a long 10 here for Royal. Undefeated at 13-0, which includes a 39-7 victory over Royal in the 5th week of the season. But the Panthers, after going down early, 13-0, have certainly shown they're not ready to get rolled by Royal here in the semifinals.
Nice play on words.
Goroski, Myrick pulling it back, a good read on that option, and he'll get down to the 15-yard line, about 3rd and 4.
Knights starting where they began the game and pounding it up the middle. The temperatures dropped since the beginning of the game. I expected it to get warmer throughout the day, but
yeah, even during halftime, and breeze in the faces of the Royal Knights as they try to extend their lead. They had to come from behind after scoring the first 13. They gave up 14 to Riverview and scored late in the first half. That's going to be stopped short of the first down on the carry by De La Rosa. So Riverview's interior defense doing a nice job.
And at this point, I think it's fair to expect the Knights to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, they've gone for it out of punt formation. They've gone for it on long range, and on a 4th and short here. Give credit to Ricardo Castillo for the tackle on the last one. Royal needs to get down to the 6. They have been able to get Riverview to jump a couple times on cadence, so we'll see what they do here with everyone packed, and now timeout called by Royal. So after they sat on most of their timeouts, this time Wiley Allred comes over in a hurry and calls a timeout on this 4th down situation.
And it is second half, so here's a scoring opportunity. It's important. By the same token, so are the timeouts, and if you have a close game, you don't want to be burning timeouts 2 minutes into the third quarter. So he must have seen something that, well, we'd have to ask him, but he probably thought, oh, that's not going to work, so let's change it up with a timeout.
Yeah, they were packed in tight formation, although they had a little twins branch split just off of the right side of the line. But so Royal looking to make it to the championship game for the 7th time. Riverview in its first semifinal ever. We'll see whether that experience for Royal, albeit a lot of it by players in past seasons, has anything to bear for these Knights, as this is the first time any of these young players have made it to the semifinals. It's the first time in 4 years for the Knights to be here.
Whole new set of players.
Yep, a lot of tradition, but that only takes you so far. Big fourth down here. They'll open up the spread just a hair, but you see the trips on the right side still. Myrick trying to get the corner, has that and more, follows the blocking of De La Rosa, and it'll be first and goal at about the 5-yard line. They just overloaded to that side, and Riverview didn't overload to compensate. That's just a read play. If they send too many defenders, you go the other direction.
Kent Christensen, number 34.
Which one?
Number 34.
Okay.
As we know, we have
Kent, yes.
2 Kent Christensens. He threw the block that made that play happen because it could have been defeated prior to the first down, but he kicked out on the defensive end or whomever was out there, an outside linebacker, and caused his team to gain the yards needed.
Kent had the touchdown catch just before halftime that moved the Knights back into the lead, which they hold currently. First and goal here, a little crossbuck action for one of the few times today.
Fumble.
And the ball loose. Beanbags thrown. No signal yet. Riverview fans think they have the ball. Players are signaling. The officials still have not indicated. And Riverview comes out of the pile, and finally the officials say, okay, if you've got the ball, I guess it's your ball. Austin Weatherby comes up with it, and Royal turns it over in the red zone for the second time.
So, hey, all's well that ends well. The officiating crew took their time calling it. I would imagine the officials thought one of the other ones called it, so I don't have to. And
Riverview with the ball at its own 6-yard line, and again Royal gets stopped. Brown went off the field, now comes back on into the formation for the Panthers as they start deep in their own end. One of their bread and butter plays in the first half, Cody Bartlett, but he won't get very far this time. Tried to run to Marshall, his blocker, and got wrapped up in a hurry. First man to him, Laddie Gorosky, and Alex Myrick there.
Yeah, both teams going back to where they started at the beginning of the game in terms of game plan, running to the outside, where at the end of the first half, the Panthers were successful up the middle. So I'm not sure if the coaches do that intentionally. We're going to start each half the same way with the game plan or not.
They set up trips to the wide side. Marshall ISO'd one-on-one. Snap through the quarterback's hands. In the end zone, throws it away. Marshall was close enough that probably avoids the intentional grounding. That's a pretty heady play for a high school sophomore. That could have easily been grounding if he'd just thrown it away, but he got it near enough to Marshall that they avoid the 2 points.
Yeah, you're right, Todd. But, by the textbook, that probably was grounding. I mean, that quarterback had no idea if there was probably a player planned to be down there on the right sideline somewhere.
Yeah.
But he wasn't throwing to anyone but away from being sacked for a safety.
It was a neighborhood pass. He had Marshall in the neighborhood, and that was good enough.
Hopefully somebody's down there.
Yep. Second time a snap's gone awry that way. They try to time the fly sweep. To Tunick, under pressure, forced out of the pocket, will be brought down at the 5-yard line. Good pressure from both sides by the Knights that time. Kent Christensen along with Emilio Bustos, and then Brady Dixon was waiting to help with the wrap-up.
So we'll see the Panthers punt. And the punting location is not desirable.
Yep, for Mendoza. We'll see what they do here. Does Royal, they're set up for a return, and they've had some good returns. Myrick is back at the Riverview 38-yard line.
They don't have enough players on the field. Trying to rectify that.
And it's Tunick who comes out to help. High snap, that will be a safety as it goes through the hands of Mendoza.
Boy, that's another position that mind games can get you. The center on shotgun snaps and deep snaps, you misfire on one or two, and all of a sudden, that's something you can't really be thinking about. You have to think about the snap count. Bam, you snapped it. But now you're thinking about, okay, am I going to aim it in the right spot? And that could be problems going down the road for the Panthers.
Yeah, and a couple things there. After you've made great stops, you forced a turnover as a defensive unit, you give up 2 and the ball again, so that's a little deflating. But the other thing that's key right now with that is it pushes the lead to 9. Mm-hmm. It makes it a 2-score game rather than a 1-score and a conversion ball game.
Yeah, you're down 2 scores to an undefeated team who beat you soundly the first time.
Yeah.
That, again, psychologically hurts in the second half. First half, you got a lot of time to make stuff up. Second half, and in high school football, a 12-minute quarter runs off pretty fast. So to underscore your point, being down by 2 scores is not good in the second half against the Knights.
Tell you what, Tatunik does it all. He came out on the punt team and got into the line. Now he just finished retaping his tight end, Ricardo Castillo's hand. I'm not sure he wasn't out selling programs and popcorn at halftime. They'll elect to kick rather than punt, so Mendoza will tee it up.
You would think a punt might be better at this point because you got the wind at your back. But
yeah, just depends on your leg, too.
Yep.
Gorosky and Myrick set to return this one, and Royal barring a turnover. Oh, that's a great kick. I guess we know why he didn't punt.
Yep,
Gorosky back about the 17, fakes the reverse, has some blockers wide side, gains the corner over the 40 to the 45-yard line. Man down for Riverview in the tangle as I think he tried to change direction on that cutback. It appears to be Jake Frampton who's down for Riverview, and they'll go out and take a look at him.
Okay.
Now
there's the
thrown
flag.
late.
I saw a beanbag get thrown there, and I'm thinking, why a beanbag? Or maybe I didn't see something. Maybe I was hallucinating. Who knows? Well, now there was a flag intended to be there. And the run back.
Sign back up and almost Royal. So what was a good return out beyond the 40-yard line will get brought back, and by the time the penalty is done, the Knights are going to be inside their own 20-yard line.
The Knights faked a reverse on the return there, and it didn't nobody bit on that. Now the Panthers have an opportunity to, they've got the Knights inside their own 20, and they need to stop. There's really not that much time left in this game. We're almost halfway through the third quarter. And as you mentioned, down by 2 scores, with neither team with a field goal kicking game.
Myrick throwing backside, deflected and intercepted. Inside the 10-yard line, Spencer Combs comes up with the pick. I think it was Castillo who got the deflection for the Panthers. So in a game of major turnovers inside their own red zones, this time it's Royal coming up with a turnover that gives Riverview excellent position at the 8-yard line.
Panthers with quarterback pressure, and the Knights throwing the football. I mean, they're very balanced, so you'll never take throwing the ball away from them. But they are a dominant running team.
Mr. Combs with not quite as impressive a run as Tony Pole yesterday, but
exactly.
Rumble, young man, rumble.
Back
Out of a
Cougars
full
game.
house formation, the carry for Mendoza left side. Takes it inside the 5-yard line.
So the emotions changing again as the Panthers don't have to play sterling defense. They did play sterling defense for one play.
And let's give Mendoza some credit for that excellent kick again after the safety that really drove him back, coupled with the penalty. But, boy, he just drilled that kick.
And we mentioned it's a bit colder. The wind is kicked up as well behind that kick.
Full I formation, power I, and again driving forward is Mendoza to the 1-yard line.
And the Panthers running it straight up the middle into the teeth of the Knights defense. 3rd and 1 or 1.5. No huddle.
Bartlett the up back, and he is joined by one of the linemen in there in this power I formation. Little miss on the exchange, but it's good enough for the touchdown for Cody Bartlett from a yard away.
He must have been the second man through because the first person there was it looked like it was going to be a broken play. It looked like that play was going to fail in a cloud of dust, but it wound up bringing the Panthers within 3 as they trail 23-20.
Everybody's screaming for the kicking tee here as Brown finds it and brings it out for Mendoza. So, again, how fast things turn. A minute and 21 seconds after giving up the safety and the ball. They force a turnover, get a touchdown, and have a chance to get within 2 on this kick. Mendoza cuts it to 23-21.
And they really did kick it. We've had a lot of fake kicks or, everything but kick. Line up and kick and do anything but. But now we had a successful extra point. 6 minutes and 38 seconds in the third. A 2-point deficit for the Panthers, who lost to the Royals 39-7. And they've got to be feeling very much like they can win this football game. And they're getting their crowd into it.
The kids are out there motioning for the crowd to get fired up. A little bit larger turnout for Riverview than for Royal. But the Knights fans will come back and get on their feet over on the far side. It's been a whale of a ball game.
But the Panthers are doing it through their play. It just got the emotions back up. Excellent game going back and forth. If you're a fan of football at any level, this would be something that you would enjoy seeing, and I hope you're enjoying the coverage.
Yeah, and that's what, in all honesty, makes it the most fun when we get to come in and just watch a game for the pure joy of it. No rooting interest either way. Just watching kids make great plays. It just makes it a lot more fun.
Our cameraman, Scott Armstrong, and our producer, Jim Brown. Thank you.
Myrick from the 2. They fake the reverse again. And Myrick will be brought down at the 17-yard line as the Panthers were laying in wait. Chance Simpson, first man to get a wrap-up on Myrick.
In contrast, on that kick return, the fake reverse did get the outside men to bite. So, even so, the Panthers were able to stop that inside the 20. So, the Panthers with the upper hand here in the second half, even though they trail by a couple.
Yeah, could be interesting to see just what that bad snap turns into by the time this game is over. If it enters into it or one of these teams is able to pull away with the remaining 18 and a half minutes we have left of playing time. Berth to the state championship against Montesano on the line. Little bounce there on the handoff, missed timing. And a short gain on the carry by De La Rosa.
But that short touchdown drive by the Panthers will fix a lot of stuff like those bad snaps. In that little drive, they didn't have to do one shotgun or any kind of a deep snap. And that gets everybody's confidence back in line.
Yeah, they'll trade 7 points for 2 anytime, too.
Yep.
Goroski split wide to the bottom of your screen on a 2nd and 10, and they'll go to the air. Out into the flat, wide open receiver. Guerrero stepped out of bounds, and there are red-shirted bodies all over the place.
Laddie Goroski put a huge hit on one of the Panthers. I'm sure that was in the camera shot.
I think it was on Brown, who is helmet off over on the sidelines and trying to just collect himself and not see 3 footballs right now.
I'm sure he'll be back in there. He looks
tough
fine.
Kid, yeah.
Yeah, he looks fine. He's taken a lot of hits and made quite a few tackles. He's gone up against bigger players many times today.
De La Rosa for about 3. Yeah, they're going to the ultimate training device for Brown. The coach ran over and got him a cup of water. Says, here, son, put your helmet on, and there he goes. Yep, one play and back he is.
Get back out there. Yeah, no time to be hurt on the sideline.
By the way, going out for Taryn is freshman Tanner Brown, so it's real easy. Hey, little brother, get off the field. I'm back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Little brother's used to that, a lifetime of substitutions.
2nd and 8. Myrick looking deep. Wide open man in the right sideline. Goroski dropped the ball. He had to wait for it as the wind held it up.
That's what it was. I was thinking it was underthrown, but you're exactly right. The wind is really probably it's got to be at least 10 miles an hour, which is going to make a difference in a ball thrown like that.
Now, Jeff Leachman bit big time on the fake, and he comes over to the sidelines now. He'll get a little coaching up right there, get him straightened back out. 6 points on that play had Gorosky been able to come back to it and hang on.
So 3rd and long, 3rd and 7. And, you know, the Knights have a lot of weapons at their disposal, and it's all been working. So they could go either way. It looks like they have a passing formation set up.
I like the Riverview coaches all coming over, giving Leachman encouragement after that play, not chewing on him. Myrick, under pressure, ball loose. Grabbed in the air. Riverview has the ball.
Intercepted. Amazing.
Yeah, the hit from Bartlett, and Ricardo Castillo came up with it. Bartlett has been the guy on defense with those blindside rushes.
Absolutely amazing that the Panthers force another turnover on the Knights side of the field. And as you mentioned, Todd, it's that blindside rush has happened a half a dozen times.
Now let's see what they do here after the turnover. The coaches are pretty animated. Do they decide to strike here, or do they control the drive from the Royal 45-yard line? They will look to throw. Deep sideline. Brown is open. Brown at the 10. Inside the 5. Myrick brings him down there. You just get a sense that they were going to go for it after the turnover.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. A 2nd and short, or just right after a turnover. You've got the defense thinking about, things are starting to implode. Hit them deep, and that was a perfectly thrown ball. He had the wind behind him. May have been a little underthrown without a wind.
Big point. I think they have to strike all the winds at their back here in the 3rd quarter as well. Great
pass protection. He had time to throw that thing. I mean, he had 4 seconds back there.
They'll go to the full house eye once again. Or pro eye if you want. Pitch it this time to Mendoza. And he'll get a yard or two before he's brought down by Kent Christensen.
Didn't see anything on the outside, but he had all his blockers that way.
Yeah.
And decided to cut it up the middle, which didn't get him much or any.
Second and goal. Tunick pointing out the defensive alignment. Royal all jammed in tight. They'll go again to Mendoza. Royal able to get through the gaps, but Mendoza got by an early tackle attempt and took it all the way down to the 1-yard line. Colin Christensen got in but didn't get a tackle.
Heck of a push right up the middle. It's like the Panthers turn into a different team when they get inside the red zone or inside the 10. They're straight up the middle pounding it, whereas back in the middle of the field, they're going outside. They can't run up the middle, it seems.
3rd and goal to Tunick trying to push it over himself. Really did not get a good drive, but on second effort, he takes it in. That was just slide until you find a hole and fall down.
It wasn't 15 minutes ago we were talking about a two-score deficit is going to be hard to make up, and the Panthers just said, those announcers don't know what they're talking about, and then just put the pedal to the metal, now up by 4.
They have capitalized on 2 big turnovers. Mendoza with the extra point, and it's good. So they gave up the safety and have come back since then with 14 straight points and taken the lead for the second time in the ball game at 28-23.
Well,
they're not playing like a team in the semis for the first time.
Definitely not. And the Knights, we talked about the blindside rushing on that has been giving the Knights the big problems, right? The quarterback's getting hit from the blind side. Well, you know the coaches see that. I'm sure they've made an adjustment, but it's still beating them. So that is the difference in the second half at this point, is the outside pass rush.
Riverview definitely playing on emotion. Their coaches are bouncing up and down, trying to keep everybody fired up, keep them positive, and I think they have to play on emotion a little bit. The more that feeds into it, the more your confidence grows as this second half goes along.
And the Knights have not been in this position, and it's never good to lose a game, but it's usually probably good to have one under your belt and go, we know what it feels like to lose. And if you've not been there before, it can mess with your head.
You start to press a little bit, perhaps, too.
Exactly.
Crowd roars as that kickoff with the breeze that we've mentioned takes it about 7 yards deep into the end zone. If you don't watch much high school football, the minute it crosses the plane of the goal line, it's an automatic touchback.
Yeah, meaning it can't be returned. And that one wasn't going to be returned in any event. It was way out of here.
Yeah.
And the crowd gave a nice big roar because I doubt they've seen those sorts of kicks.
Yeah, you don't get them too often at this level.
Yeah.
But as everything else is improved, so is Mendoza's kicking, it appears. Remember, in the first half, he hit that little pop-up for an extra point attempt that barely went into the netting. So Myrick and the Knights need to play come-from-behind football again as they start at their own 20 with a keeper by Myrick. He'll get 5 before he's pulled down by Tatunik.
Speaking of long kicks, there was one high school player kicked a
63, yeah, from Central Valley of Spokane. Yep, there are some good kickers around the state, actually. State field goal record got reset again. There's also a young man down in Camas, Washington, has got about a 55-yard leg there, and there are probably plenty more we haven't had a chance to see this year. But lots of good kickers around the state. Myrick to throw. Open man, juggled, dropped. What are they going to rule it? Incomplete. Gorosky taking his eyes off it again, perhaps, with Jeff Leachman bearing down on him.
Cody Hand was nearby, and he was close to intercepting that one. It was being juggled, and he nearly picked it before it hit the turf.
3rd down 5 for Royal. And how big would a 3-and-out be right here for Riverview?
That would be pretty outstanding from the defense perspective.
2 teams from the same division of the same conference meeting in the semifinals. Myrick's throw caught. 1st down. Gorosky to the 34-yard line, wraps the ball up much better this time and gets pulled down. Hand there along with Leachman for the Panthers.
Good arm strength on the part of Alex Myrick to get it out into the flat. That had to be thrown with a lot of velocity because the receiver was just standing there. Everybody could see it was coming that way, and it had to get there now.
2:45 to play in the 3rd quarter. The Panthers flipped the secondary again, rearranged their defenders. Myrick, the pump fake is going long. Gorosky behind Brown, waiting for the ball, and drops another one. Brown was just sitting there thinking, please let me make a play somehow, and Gorosky can't hang on.
That thing had a lot of hang time, and
I think you could sense the entire stadium holding its collective breath as that one floated in the air. It did seem like a semi-eternity for that one.
You would think football isn't much of a mind game. Just hit them and get it over with. But if a receiver's dropped a couple, all of a sudden you start looking at the ball and the ball starts bouncing up there. It's hard to keep track of.
Tell you what, you got to give the Royal receivers some credit as Myrick runs right side, Hand unable to wrap him up, and he'll get the 1st down before he's pushed out of bounds. Great sportsmanship by Mendoza to help him back up. The Royal receivers, Don, have had an uncanny knack in this game for getting open on big plays, whether or not they've made the catch, but they have been behind the secondary throughout the day.
Yes. Open like that. On the prior play, that receiver was open by 5 yards.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a shock he didn't make the play. But his team is still moving, another 1st down.
46-yard line after the keeper by Myrick. And looks to throw again. Open man. Dixon, the tight end, cannot get to that one as it's a little bit overthrown. Hand trying to release from the linebacker position to get to him.
The Panthers are always one-on-one coverage, man-to-man coverage, and they don't have a safety coming to help. And that would be a difference. The Knights, whenever there's a deep, we saw a safety come over and help and break up a potential touchdown pass. No one's helping out these cornerbacks deep.
I had to look around for a second. I thought a hockey game had broken out somewhere. Would have been the first time to see any all season long. I'm getting desperate.
Lots of music between the plays.
Although the juniors are playing, so I should give credit there. Myrick up the middle. Winds his way again. Got a block from Gorosky on the edge. Stutter step. inside the 40-yard line before he's finally knocked down.
The Knights have so many weapons. I mean, the memorable things are the big plays they miss, but they hit these short 10-yard plays, and they're moving the ball very effectively. I mean, you wouldn't imagine that. I mean, they were ahead by 9 points a half hour ago. Now they're down by 5. You would wonder what happened. You know what I mean? There were 2 interceptions. Okay. But other than that, they're dominating on the offensive side of the ball.
2 minutes to play, third quarter. Knights broke the huddle with 12 players. De La Rosa right side. Good ball handling by Myrick that time, and he's down to the 31-yard line.
Another big play on first down.
Yeah, they hadn't called for De La Rosa for a while, and then all of a sudden, a little ball handling brought him off there.
It's just another one of the many weapons they have.
Second and 3 for the Knights. Myrick, nice job by, they missed the tackle. Bartlett came off his block, and Myrick with great second effort gets forward beyond the sticks to pick up the first down. He broke tackles from Bartlett and Brown and got beyond the sticks.
An excellent athlete, can throw the ball.
Yeah, Bartlett really came off his man well, and Myrick's numbers passing are incredible, Don.
5'8", 175 pounds. So, I mean, he's not a big guy, but yet he throws the ball with a lot of zip.
Well, he's completed 68% of his passes, and how's this ratio? 30 touchdowns. Coming into today, 3 interceptions, though, so that number's ballooned.
Yeah.
Not all his fault either.
They're playing a good team, though.
They fake the pitch under pressure, gets knocked down. Kyle Hall coming in with the pressure there. 6'2", 270.
Yep. Yeah, he's big.
He's been the up back in that.
270 against 175, so a bit of a mismatch.
He's been the up man in that power I formation on offense as well for the Panthers. So big loss there, takes it back to a 2nd and 15 situation. Quick slant route, catch made, on his feet, still inside the 20, is Guerrero digging inside the 15, and a first down. Again, great second effort.
Yeah, Jeff Leachman had the tackle seemingly made, but as you mentioned, second effort gave the Knights a first down, and the Panthers needed that tackle to be made, but without it, the Knights just continue to just pound it towards the end zone.
Christian Guerrero takes it inside the red zone where the Knights have been for a while, but they've turned it over lately with scoring opportunities, allowing Riverview to take the lead. It's going to be a wild fourth quarter, and we'll have it for you momentarily. Riverview 28, Royal 23, a trip to the state championship on the line. We'll be back with the fourth quarter after this timeout on the WIAA network. We welcome you back to Lamson Stadium in Kennewick. Fourth quarter of this semifinal game, undefeated Royal trailing 11-1 Riverview. As we get set to start the fourth quarter, it's a 1st and 10 for the Royal Knights at the 15-yard line of Riverview.
Looking at how well Royal is playing right now, it's amazing that they're trailing.
Play fake, Myrick to the end zone for the tight end. Incomplete. Dixon trying to run the crossing route there. Cody Hand with the coverage. And Hand at 6'2" makes it a little tougher for a quarterback to drop that one in.
The Panthers have had such good success defending the red zone. I mean, they've denied the Knights several times this afternoon.
Yeah, and caused turnovers too.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they have a chance to stand up again. And now they have a chance to deny them while they have the lead, the Panthers do.
De La Rosa left side, and he just continues to drive the pile back, takes it inside the 10. It's going to be about a 3rd down and 5 to go from there. 13-0 Royal at the end of 1. Riverview took a lead, and Royal came back to move ahead at halftime 21-14.
De La Rosa's 205 pounds, and he's hard to stop. He knows how to run. I mean, he runs as if he's 250.
Royal added a safety, but then Riverview 2 more scores to get us to 28-23 Riverview, which is where we are right now. On 3rd and 5, Myrick with room on the left side, one man to beat. Great kick-out block, and he'll take it into the end zone for the touchdown. He just waited for Carter Christensen to open the hole on the left side and took it in for the score.
One of the many Christensen players, Carter Christensen. Let's see.
That was Carter Christensen, the senior.
6'1", 210 pounds, and that was the block that opened it up for his 175-pound quarterback to score into the right by the pylon.
Now, last time they went for 2 out of kick formation. They're waiting to see what they're going to do here. I would assume they'll go for 2, but I think they're going to go for it from a straight spot. They're going to take a timeout, so they have to burn their second timeout. That gives them 1 left for the remainder of the 4th quarter.
You know, far be it to question an undefeated team, and I'm not doing so, but a downside of calling the play from the sideline is that's what he was trying to do. The head coach is trying to call in the play, and I believe he was having a hard time getting all 11 guys to give the thumbs up that they had the play call.
Well, and it's indecision, too. You're trying to decide what to come up with, what do we run it out of, what set, and everything else.
Coaching has got to be tough because there's a 25-second play clock, and there's probably a few seconds before that clock starts running, and you've got to have the experience to know, okay, what am I running right now? I'm sure you could second-guess yourself pretty mightily. You call the play and go, oh, geez, maybe I should have called, a 32 dive or whatever.
I'm not sure if you're allowed to play the Macarena prior to a 2-point conversion attempt. Got to check that rule book on that one. All right, the water boys are off. The coach is off. The official says, cut the Macarena off.
He does.
Yep,
he just did.
Big emphatic signal. All right, here we go.
Yep.
4-2. They'll throw it. In behind, juggled and incomplete. Flag thrown. Brady Dixon was covered by Cody Hand. I'll be honest, I didn't see a lot there.
Neither did I.
But they'll call interference.
Yeah, must be defensive.
Yeah. Ball go down to the 1.5 and gives Royal a few more options for the conversion attempt. Now you think about running maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, but I'm not sure why they were going for 2 points. I mean, it gives them a 3-point lead and against a field goal, but I don't see anybody really kicking field goals in this game.
I don't know. With Mendoza's leg, I could see one, and it is back into the wind now, which, as we said, is picked up strongly. It's left to right, behind the backs of Royal right now, but we'll see how it all goes. Myrick pushing forward. He's across for the 2-point conversion to push it to 31-28.
So the Panthers had a 5-point lead, and now they trail by 3 as we are in the 4th quarter.
And you can hear the wind all of a sudden. So
as
it swirls across and into us now, you can understand what the breeze has been like out there.
I feel the wind,
There is that too.
As we mentioned, it was nice this morning. I mean, I actually thought about not wearing my coat. Taking it off, keeping it nearby. But it's like, where's the Eskimo parka at this point?
Yeah, go run and get the additional layers for game 2.
But the Panthers are down by 3, but they're in this game because, in case you joined us late, they had 2 interceptions off of deflected quarterback passes in the 3rd quarter. So they were down by 9 and went up by 5, and now the Knights have pushed the lead back to 3. And the Knights are looking very good now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be worried at this point if I were the Panthers. The Panthers have been playing an excellent football game, but in the last 2 drives, the Knights have really been pounding the ball with their running game and throwing it all over the place, and their receivers have been dropping the ball. If they've been catching the ball, it would really be tough for the Panthers.
First time Guerrero has kicked away today. And a big crunch between tackler and return man there. Teddy Meade getting the hit and then helping up Mendoza, who gets the run back out to about the 28-yard line. Well, I think our stadium operator is starting to get desperate.
Why?
Well, he went to the chicken dance and then bailed out of it after about 30 seconds to the hokey pokey, and they're pulling out all the stops, and we still have 11 minutes left. So,
yeah, well,
unless we go to the peppermint twist, that's about all that they've got left, I think. Electric slide, of course, too. We've already had Cotton Eye Joe. Just for those of you that are wondering, we want to keep it updated there. Cody Bartlett, another nice run here on first down as he takes it to the 35 for a gain of 7. And Bartlett, for my money, I mean, there have been a lot of great plays and great players, but Bartlett has been just a standout on both sides of the ball today.
well, just that run there, he made 3 people miss by juking, essentially. Faking right, going left, fake left, go right, and, 7-yard gain. That should have been a 2-yard gain.
Castillo flip slides, and it goes into the slot on a trips left on second down. Tunic to throw for the first time in a while. Under some pressure, has to get rid of it. Deflected and caught and dropped. It was out of bounds anyway. A nice attempt by Cody Hand, who has had several nice catches today. Brady Dixon on the coverage.
Damian De La Rosa hit the quarterback right when he was throwing it, and that made the play basically explode. Tunic really got hit hard. He got hit right in the face.
Well, and they haven't had to throw for a while either because they've had short field after the turnovers. So a third down situation now. The Royal fans make some noise across the way on 3rd and 3. Tunic, the option pitch. Second time they've run it. Might have been a block in the back. No flag yet. Now they finally throw it. It looked like Brown definitely got Luis Garcia in the back. And this one will come back after Bartlett had extended it just past the first down chain.
Yeah, it would result in a first down. It looks like.
Yeah, but it's pretty blatant block that time right in front of the referee. So.
A 5-man officiating crew, and they're doing a good job. Other than a couple of, the clock running when it shouldn't, that kind of thing. I can't say that we've really had any controversial calls. There was a controversy about a pass interference in the first quarter. That's probably it. So a well-officiated game.
Yep. You think this one is good? We are anticipating another great game in our second contest, scheduled for a 2 o'clock kickoff with Lynn Ritzville Sprague against the defending 1A champions from Waitsburg Prescott, and that should be a real showdown contest as well. All right, a big call there, and it now is a 3rd and 16 for Riverview. Tunic, sideline for Hand, a lot of contact both ways, and an incomplete pass. Riverview coaches want a flag, but I'll be real honest, Hand was putting hands as much on Jake Jeanette as anything else.
Well, probably the key was that Christian Guerrero was looking back for the ball. So there was contact between the receiver and Guerrero, and they were both looking for the ball, both playing the ball. But that did hold up the receiver, and, of course, that was right in front of the Panthers bench, and they had a real good look at it. And I think they're biased. I'm not sure.
4th down, and Mendoza on to punt. Myrick back deep, too deep to run a fake at this point, and still more than 10 minutes to play. The Panthers will have to call upon their defense. A low punt into the wind, gets a good roll as well. And it'll be down at the 35-yard line by Bartlett.
Yeah, Myrick, I guess if you had to have anybody near the rolling punted ball, kind of getting close, okay, your quarterback's got the best hands, but
yeah,
a little risky.
He's been their return guy. 43-yard punt and no return. And so now Royal with the wind at their backs, leading by 3 with 10:05 to play. Again, interestingly, the clock did not advance on that punt play.
And obviously it should have advanced about 20 seconds.
And again, we don't have a rooting interest. Just either way, we'll make sure. Just the observation there. So a first down for Myrick. Tries to get the left side and broke around the corner again and drives tacklers back to get a first down. Stayed in bounds, moved people back, and gets a key first down at the 46-yard line.
You know, and that's a common theme throughout this game, that especially on the outside, the Panthers are not as good at tackling on the first hit as they would hope to be, because that really should have been a 5-yard gain, and it ended up being a first down run.
11 yards on the keeper for senior quarterback Alex Myrick, as Royal tries to remain undefeated against their conference and divisional rival. These two teams from the same division, the East Division of the South Central Athletic Conference. Myrick had to pull that one back big time and takes it there. A little bit of a problem on the exchange with De La Rosa that time, and the running backs won it every once in a while too. Myrick trying to yank it out, got spun around a bit, but got a good gain.
Yeah, it was like too good of a fake handoff. And put it into the breadbasket, take it back out, or maybe someone thought that they should have gotten the handoff.
From the Riverview 48-yard line. This time De La Rosa will get it, follows his blockers nicely, and has a big hole to the 36-yard line. Got a couple of great blocks along the line of scrimmage that time. Help from Reed Leffler and Uriel Carmona to open that one up, and another first down.
Cody Hand on the tackle. He's number 83 in red. And as we talked about after the last touchdown by the Knights, they are playing very good football, probably the best football of the game at this point.
36-yard line. 9 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Goroski, the motion man, will flip and go wide now on the left side. Myrick waits for him to set and takes it himself. Good job defensively that time. Bartlett playing off the lead block of De La Rosa and spins Myrick down for a 2-yard loss.
Yeah, Bartlett in on the tackle with a couple of other teammates of his. One of the few times that Myrick has been unable to turn the corner on the outside. Thrown for a loss of a couple. They ran him to the short side.
Yeah.
Expect him to send him the other way next time.
2nd and 12 of De La Rosa, now changing from tailback to a wing again alongside. Myrick with time, looks for the home run ball. That one is going to be incomplete. A diving attempt at the interception by Jeff Leachman, as he was much closer to the ball than the intended receiver, Christian Guerrero. So a 3rd and 12 now for the Knights.
Guerrero with a little bit of a push on the defender there. I'm not sure if that was, well, if the defender would have fallen down, I think you would have seen an offensive pass interference. But since the defender was able to make a play on the ball, no call.
Yeah, and a catchable ball, trying to figure into that equation as well. So another big play here for Royal. Pressure outside. Bartlett in the face of Myrick, and the ball dropped again by Goroski. They had good lead blockers out in front, and Goroski with another big drop there to bring up a 4th down.
So this is an interesting part of the field. I would expect the Knights to go for it. But here comes a whole other team.
Looks like the punt team will come out. The only time they had punt formation, remember, Dixon ran for a first down.
Many dropped passes. That's one weak area of probably only today weak for the Knights.
Riverview scrambling around defensively a little bit, and it will get punted this time by Dixon. High and short, and Riverview's coaches are screaming, run away from it. It takes a big hop in Royal's favor. Looked as though it would head out of bounds, and instead takes another 10 yards or so and gets down at the 17-yard line. So 7:54 to play in the fourth quarter. Riverview 83 yards away from what would be a go-ahead score, as they'll actually spot it one more yard up now at the 18.
That was a 20-yard punt, and you think, wow, that wasn't a very good punt, but really it was okay. You would expect maybe a kick into the end zone, and then the Panthers would have it on the 20. So here they are.
Yeah, they tried to pooch it and just got it too wide to the side that time. Didn't get enough
got a
of
good
a spin.
roll.
Yeah. All right. Tunic with Mendoza in the backfield. And Tunic will keep it himself. Has the right side sealed. His opposing number, Myrick, bringing him down after a gain of 4 or 5 yards.
So we've gone through 4 minutes in the fourth quarter, so under 8 minutes to play. And not many possessions left for both teams, including the Panthers, as they're down by 3.
Myrick sprinting over the sidelines quickly to get his gloves back on now that he's on defense. And he'll head back to his safety spot. A little cover 2 here for the Knights. And to Tunic, a tricky handoff that time. Breaking free is Mendoza. Over midfield and out of bounds at the Royal 47-yard line.
Royals failed to contain that play. They had it stopped at the line of scrimmage or for maybe a 3-yard gain. But when the Panthers runner bounced it outside, there was no defender there. And as a defensive end, you have to hold that position for that very reason.
30 yards on the carry for junior running back Alonso Mendoza and a first down at the 47-yard line. 7:08 showing here in the fourth quarter. Riverview trying to take this one down to the wire and regain the lead. Juggle on the snap to Tunic. Looked like a block in the back there at the line, but he'll take it back to the line of scrimmage. And Riverview got a good break there because Kyle Hall appeared to have had the defender spun and blocked in the back. He might have stayed engaged, but it looked as though he might have gotten a flag, and the Panthers able to survive that one for a 2nd and 10.
So at this point, the timeouts become more important, obviously. And the Panthers, if I'm not mistaken, have 3 remaining.
Yeah, 3 for them, 1 left for Royal. Trips to the left side. Castillo, the slot man, along with Brown and Hand. Little bubble screen out here for Mendoza. Can't get too far as he's spilled in the backfield. Luis Garcia, who's done a pretty good job of getting upfield on those types of plays, able to bring him down for a 1-yard gain and a 3rd and 9 here for the Panthers.
Because this drive could take a while, and if the Panthers score, or even if they don't, it could possibly be their last possession. We're down to 6 minutes. Now, the fact that they have 3 timeouts will really help them either way.
A little bit of uncertainty here as the play clock is at 10. Mendoza checking with his quarterback again. Time for him to throw. Mendoza wheel route is open and just can't reach the ball. Just through his outstretched hands, he got isolated one-on-one with a backer, Marcos Morales. Jake Jeanette tried to come over and help at the last minute. It was just a bit too far, and it's 4th and 9.
Yeah, that was a very nicely thrown football, and Mendoza, I think he'd like to have a shot at that one again. He didn't really completely outstretch. I think he may have misjudged it a skosh. The wind may have played a little bit of a part in that one. Interesting
Decision here. Still almost 6 minutes to play. Instead of playing punt and defense, they will go for it on 4th and 9. Juggle by Tunic. Has time. Slant route wide open. Caught. Marshall first down. 32-yard line, and a great call by Brett Jay and his staff.
Brett Jay, as you mentioned, a great call, but there's a pattern. They go to the well, 4th down, all the time with their quarterback. Marshall. Really? Are you going to go like earlier in the game? It was 4th and 20, and they went for the touchdown, and they scored.
Marshall ran a great hook route to get open, too, though. They've got plenty of cushion, and he took advantage of it.
Great pass protection.
Little draw play for Mendoza. He'll get a couple. Tunic rushing up. Thought the ball might have popped free there for a moment, but it's ruled to be Panther ball. Royal was scrambling there for a second. Luis Garcia was sprinting to the backfield just before the snap, so the Knights scrambling around a little bit on that one.
Now, the Panthers have played a lot of hurry up, and they're taking what would seem to be their sweet time here.
They want to, yeah.
Yeah, if they can score, they can run the clock out, as the Knights have 1 timeout remaining.
Mendoza shaken up on the play, comes over to the sidelines. Cody Bartlett will come back in for him. 4.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Riverview trailing by 3. Bartlett, a good weave back, gets around one more man, and will get to the corner where he's knocked down by Christian Guerrero at the 25-yard line, and that was a great run to bring a 3rd and short, about a 3rd and 3 for the Panthers.
I'm not sure if the play was designed that way, but that was reminiscent of what we saw a lot in the first half, where Bartlett would slant in and then break it outside. That play, it appeared it was a designed inside play. He saw nothing and on his own bounced it outside. Again, there was no containment.
Got knocked out of bounds, so the game clock stops at 4:26. Play clock is down to 15 already. Brown split wide to the right side, to the left rather, hand to the right. Tunic keeping himself, dives forward and still appears to be about a half yard short if the linesman's spot is at where they're going to have it. And it should bring up a 4th and about a foot or so to go for Riverview. They'll be under 4 minutes to play next time they snap the ball.
Well, you would think the Panthers would just run a smash mouth play straight up the middle, but
Mendoza goes in with the play.
I wouldn't be shocked if they went deep out of this.
Yep.
Situation.
Marshall comes out now. They're going to the power I formation that they scored their touchdowns with. 4th and inches to go. Play clock down to 10. Game clock at 3:40. Confusion. Pitch outside, and they don't get it. The timing was off, and Myrick was able to get upfield and drop Mendoza for a loss. Royal holds, and they have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Oh, after all that, they got a little too complex for themselves. Tunic talking to his coach a little upset. They just messed up the timing and the exchanges on that one.
Yeah. Well, the Knights were celebrating quite heavily. They have a lot of work to do here. They need to get a 1st down, basically.
Yep, and a Royal team that has had to overcome a lot of adversity, much of it self-caused, will try to hang on to the ball here with 3.5 to go. De La Rosa pushes the pile forward all the way out to the 33 as he got another great block behind Carter Christensen.
We mentioned earlier that De La Rosa runs like he's 205 pounds, but he runs like he's much bigger, and he's so low to the ground and with his forward momentum, his center of gravity's forward. He just turned a 4-yard gain to a 9-yard gain, carrying people with him. Now we're under 3 minutes.
Yep, and the Knights will use every second that they can right now. A couple of 1st downs might be enough to salt this one away. De La Rosa does not get there. Held for no gain that time, and a timeout will be taken by Riverview. That's their 1st. This is going to be a 3rd down and about a half yard to go when we resume with 2:39 left in the 4th quarter.
Well, the Knights have decided to wait to play their best football in the 4th quarter. And things are looking really good for them right now. I mean, they've only got a foot to go for a 1st down. If they can get across that yard to gain or that line to gain, it's going to be very difficult for the Panthers to A, stop them again, and B, get the ball back, and C, get down there and score with only 2.5 minutes to go in this game, trailing by 3. And it would have to be a touchdown as field goals are hard to come by in this game, and they would be kicking into the wind.
Yeah, that's true too. Back to the single back formation now. They had Christensen in the backfield earlier and also Guerrero in the backfield. The quarterback sneak does not get there, and another timeout will be taken immediately by Riverview. So they've used 2 of their 3, and it's a 4th down and inches situation here. The ball placed right on the 34-yard line, a little beyond it, and they have a little less than a full yard to go here.
But would you really go for it on fourth down at this point, or would you punt? I think it's pretty obvious they're going to go for it.
I would not be surprised if they try to draw them off with cadence again, and then if they don't get it, take the delay a game and punt the ball away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a good strategy.
I just don't know if you go for it here. Yes, you've got confidence in your kids to get a yard, but do you dare risk turning the ball over inside your own 35 with a berth to the state championship on the line, or do you boot it away and let your defense play long field?
The conventional wisdom would just say punt and make these guys do something.
Well, they've been able to get Riverview to jump a couple times today on counts, but that was earlier in the ball game. The Panthers have maintained that defensive discipline since. So fourth down, the Knights come out showing an offensive formation. They have that strong right that Myrick took around the corner last time for a first down. We'll see if Riverview plays it any differently. De La Rosa's the single setback. They're going to sneak it with Myrick, and he drives forward for the first down. Gutsy calls by both coaching staffs throughout this game, and that one for Royal may turn out to be the largest of all.
Yeah, it's definitely not usual, let's say, to go for it on fourth down inside your own 35-yard line with 2 minutes plus to go in the game, but that's the way the Knights play football, and it's obviously worked out all season, and it's working out here.
Yeah, that's that little option Reed I talked about. You get the bunch right. If they don't put the numbers out defensively, you roll it. If they do, as they did last time, Myrick just takes it up the middle. A first down away, perhaps, from going to state. Myrick just lowers the head. He's got the first down, is protecting the football as Panthers try to grasp for the ball with all their might, and Myrick takes it to the 45-yard line of Riverview, where the Panthers are going to use their final timeout.
Well, the Knights following the fans in the opposite sideline. They're all pretty excited about what they see, and you would have to, this game's nowhere near over. Well, there's 2 minutes left. Okay, sure, it's near being over, but it's a 3-point game. Plenty of stuff could happen. In fact, Myrick could have been stripped right there.
And they tried with all their might.
It seemed like that's what they were doing because Myrick fell through the pile, and he was leading the pile yet being tackled, which was kind of an odd thing to see.
Winner of this game to take on Montesano next week for the state championship.
Have you seen Montesano?
I've not had a chance to see him this year, no. They defeated Mount Baker earlier today, 28-6 in the Tacoma Dome.
This is a nice venue here. It's an excellent place to play football. Outdoor stadium, no rain.
Yeah, great conditions.
Yep.
De La Rosa deep behind Myrick, who will drive it left side again. And for him, it's a situation now of protect the ball at all costs. Both these teams like to run left-handed, run off their left sides.
And so at this point, if the Knights can pick up another first down, this one, I would have to do some quick
one
math,
more first down will do it.
Yeah.
Inside a minute and a half to go. 10 on the play clock now. Myrick left side again, only a couple of yards, so it's going to be a 3rd and long, but they will not have to snap the ball again until there are about 35 seconds left. We'll mark it when they mark it indicated ready for play. And that signal's given right now at the 1 minute mark. So this snap will come with 35. And depending on where the ball gets spotted, in fact, if they're smart, they run around for about 10 seconds, and they won't have to snap it on fourth down.
Yeah, they could probably kneel down at this point. And
play clock is at 6. They sprint quickly out of the huddle. And they had players in motion. It was just one Gorosky, so it's all right. Now it all depends on whether the referees mark it for play-in time, and they are not going to. And that is going to do it. They will not have to snap the ball on 4th down. And by the skin of their teeth, Royal will hang on to defeat Riverview 31-28. But this one was a battle between two teams that are very familiar with one another.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered, but the Knights did not all come set after coming out of that huddle. And there really should have been a flag right there, but the Panthers, they don't care. It didn't matter. So
full credit to Riverview for a great game as it starts to sink in for some of the kids how close they got today. Josh Marshall and Alonso Mendoza out on the carpet as the rest of their teammates in a huddle before they line up. We said 2 divisional opponents from the South Central Athletic Conference East Division. It was 39-7 midway through the season. It was down to the wire today, and a couple of plays breaking late for Royal to hang on for the victory over Riverview. Both teams worthy of advancing to a championship game, Don, and a very well-played semifinal.
Yeah, both teams had their share of weaknesses, I would have to say, as the Knights go into the championship game. They've got to work on catching the balls that they had some real big opportunities to catch some long balls. But other than that, they played a very well-rounded football game on all aspects.
Riverview finishes with a record of 11-2. Both of those losses to a Royal team that is a win away from a state championship. So an outstanding season for Brett Jay and his team as they reach the Final Four for the first time in school history. For Royal, it's their 7th championship game. They are now 14-0, and they will take on Montesano next week. Now, we are scheduled for a 2 o'clock kickoff. We will apparently be close to that as they have started the warm-up clock with just a 20-minute window. So we will probably kick off about 5 after 2 for our 1A semifinal game, and we ask you to come back and join us then here at Lamson Stadium in Kennewick. Final in this 2A semifinal, Royal goes to 14-0 as they come from behind and hang on to beat Riverview by a score of 31-28. The 1A